So the people need to know that these guys are working for them. Because if you don't know that the worker, because the owner of the establishment where he's working, then the owner of the job can actually be disposed. So the question is, do we have a way as ordinary Nigerians to be able to monitor those who are representing us and hold them accountable for what they do or refuse to do?
Absolutely, yes. Let us understand that power is what it is. And when you give somebody power, whoever you're giving the power to, you should be able to know that they either understand that the power is to be used for the overall, not for themselves. It's why we have had a situation where once they get into positions of responsibility, aka power, what happens is they now forget that that power is for the citizens. Because they're giving that power as a form of representation to take actions, to make decisions on behalf of the general populace. But when they get into that office, often than not, the power begins to intoxicate them and they suddenly see opportunities for themselves rather for the people. So one of the things we can address going forward is that even from secondary, even from the crèche, right from crèche to primary to secondary and university, we need to start instilling in our young people that power is not something that you are giving in which you now abuse. That they should be able to differentiate where their self-interest begins and where the service to the populace becomes operative. Their self-interest is their salary, their emoluments, and other advantages that will come to them. But for the public, it's about using public money, taxes, and other forms of funding in the name of the country to be run for the end for, and that there should be due process and accountability. When citizens understand that these persons are voted into power, they should also know that they have the power to recall them. It is why voting is important, because when you vote, your signature is captured in the data of the polling. Now, once your data is captured in the BBAC like we use now, it is not easy for a people within a community to rise as one voice, write a protest or a petition to INEC and say, you know what, this representative is not doing right. We're going to recall this representative. And what happens?
We believe that everyone has a story to share. We believe in the power of storytelling in today's digital economy. Yes, we believe that our audience need to be touched at the level of emotion so we can better engage. What about you? Do you believe in storytelling as much as we do? Do you want to reach the hearts and minds of your audience? Then join us in our online training class, Storytelling for Content Creators and Digital Entrepreneurs. Come to obehi1food.com/storytelling and learn how to leverage your storytelling skills so you can earn more as a content creator and digital entrepreneur. Storytelling is a powerful instrument at our disposal. Let's explore it together. See you in the class.
As soon as that is done, INEC will now start off. It's kicked off by INEC, it goes live, and then people cannot come together. The same energy we use in coming together to vote is the same energy and determination that is required to recall someone. Different forms of protest, and consistent protest is another way to say, you know what, we don't like your kind of leadership. Out you go. You can also write public petitions. You can also write open letters. You can also create a collection of lawyers who can do the job of checking government as pro bonus. You can also have the CSOs. The CSOs in Nigeria are beginning to be active, but we need them to do much more than what they currently do. Because the CSOs will help check a lot of the excesses, even from government, the political government. Also, the media has a critical role in ensuring that, one, they not only give the people the right information, but they also are dishing out proper, powerful knowledge data that we equip the citizenry to make informed decisions, such that their political agendas are not driven by biases, but are really consciously driven by the realities of ground and speaking truth to power every single time they get, and even make it a standard of operation. So there's quite a lot we can do. And it begins with the voting. Voting candidates, have the capacity, potential, and will be able to exercise the political will when the time comes. The last set of persons they have seen so far have been repetitive in cycle. A few are outstanding. The majority are not. So Nigerians should come to a point where they should be really involved. They cannot sit on the fence. They cannot be detached. They cannot say, it no consign me. They cannot say, it's none of my business. They cannot say, my vote does not count, because that is a political propaganda that was sold to them. They are now repeating it and buying it into it consciously and denying themselves their civic duty to go out and vote. Then, wherever you live in your society, even the civil service as a whole needs to be revamped. The entire civil service structure, the entire civil service laws and policies needs to be updated. A situation where a public servant commits a crime and he simply reposted to another office rather than sacked immediately as an example to others, that has got to stop. The civil service should not be a place where people feel they can go in, sign out, and go and continue with their other businesses at the hour, at the expense of doing what is for the public good. Because it's taxpayers' money that are used to pay them. So, what I'm saying is that we have a systemic problem which needs a systemic cure for it to really change itself. And it begins with the re-engineering of the Nigerian mind towards civic engagement, political participation, civic mobilization, and really, really being aware of how we can merge CSOs, media, and the communities in holding government more accountable. The moment they know that they misbehave in office, they will be booted out. I can assure you, politicians will sit up.
All right. We're waiting for that time. That is when it will actually be functioning in the country. Now, another thing I'm sort of curious about is to understand what is your main area of concentration in your investigative journalism. I want us to take us to your work.
Essentially, what I do is if I see a problem in the society, I just take on. If I see, for example, like what I did, which was recognized by the Pulitzer Center USA, for which I was also interviewed by the Wisconsin University Africa at noon, was the issue when I discovered during COVID-19 that we're also having another kind of pandemic inside a pandemic. And what was that pandemic? It was gender-based violence. I began to notice that there were instances where young children were being molested, abused physically, emotionally, psychologically, mentally, and in every other way you can think of, even malnourished and maltreatment and all of that. I also had incidences of many women hiding and running away from their homes, their marital homes, that is, or even in the relationship, so that they can be protected from their abusers. Now, what the pandemic did was, because it's boxed everybody in a particular area, emotions got high. And so if the abuse that usually existed prior to the time was maybe one slap a day, it now became several floggings a day. In a way, the people felt they were imprisoned by the abusers. So when I noticed this incident, I felt, what is going on? I'm like, what's going on here? And that was what led me to begin to dig into the issue of gender-based violence within my environment. So I started from Warri, when I first heard the first instance. Then I extrapolated it to Asaba in Delta State. Then I went to Delta State as an entirety, because to Edo, to Calabar, to Akwa Ibom, to Bayelsa. I was going places. The next thing, it escalated. I was going to places like South Africa when it became such a big deal, Sierra Leone, Ghana, and even in Sweden. I mean, it was that massive. That was how far my investigative work into gender-based violence and children abuse took me to. And when I uncovered all of that, and I uncovered the issue of rape among young people, it all combined among the very strong voices that got the federal government to pass an emergency bill regarding rape cases in Nigeria. So rape case was declared an emergency in Nigeria, and we were able to see to it the gender equality bill with regards to this specific area of gender-based violence and abuse and rape in universities became a law. And today we are all reaping the benefit. In Delta State, for example, because of my investigation, the VAP Act, which is the Violence Against Persons Prohibition Act, the bill that was sitting in the House of Assembly was passed. This is after I was on a public event, an international public event, calling out and speaking truth to power to call out the Delta State government to do the needful and get it done appropriately. And so it was passed. So when I see a problem, I delve into it. It could be, for example, the incidents of train ticket racketeering in Nigeria. I just followed up on the story and I exposed how this racketeering takes place. It could also be a bad road in Nigeria. What is it looks Nigeria? So my investigative journalism is really that is the attention of government so that action can be taken and justice can be gotten.
Thank you for that. That of the COVID-19 situation was particularly challenging. I remember I did a number of interviews in Nigeria of some people where everybody, of course, is locked down and the government didn't supply what they said they were going to supply. Of course, video later show up of the food actually locked in a place. Nobody can. Is sometimes in my place, they say when you open your mouth and pull the corn inside, you need to close your mouth, otherwise the corn are going to fall out. It's quite funny sometimes.
True.